All right, welcome to Bloom in Full Color, where we live life in high definition. So again, I'm going to introduce, we have not done a wardrobe change. We are recording back to back, but I've got Dave Hawley with me. I'm Jennifer Moss, and I got PJ McGuire.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate that. That's nice.
Well, you guys were so popular. We're bringing it back. We're actually test driving new co-hosts too. So, you know.
For the occasion.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
Be on
we're
site.
we did test drive some new co-hosts.
Need it. Backup is a good
It'll
thing.
get a little bit more colorful. I guarantee that. I mean, I'm a colorful individual. These two can bring it. We'll be just fine. So today we are talking about New Year's resolutions and how to complete a new year, how to start a new year, and not necessarily the same idea resolutions, because none of us really like the word resolution.
I don't like the term resolution. So what is another word that we can use?
Well,
New Year.
Goals.
What?
This
Well,
year's
how I would
goals?
say how you finish a year, how you start a year. That's how I would say it. Don't worry about the dogs under the table. Pardon us.
That was my stomach. I'm sorry.
And we're hungry. I'm dog sitting, so we might have a little bit of canine noise here and there. Onyx, Molly, cut it out. Okay, sorry guys. Doodle patrol under the table. Okay, so I'll share with you guys something that I started practicing a year ago. So I follow Rachel Hollis quite a bit, and she does an end of the year audit. So she actually goes through her calendar based on her big goals that she set for herself at the beginning of the year. And she goes through her calendar to see what actually worked towards those goals. So I realized when I went to do this last year that I had done a shit job of tracking how I spend my time. So I actively made it a dedicated effort this year to color code my calendar and start tracking what I do to try to get ahead of this.
Your calendar does look like an LGBT flag.
Dude.
It really does.
It's bad.
Like a Crayola box puked on your iPhone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's how I keep track of it. And that's actually also a really good gauge for me. Like, I'm really good at spending all of my currency, i.e. time, on other people and not on myself. So I actually started to color code my calendar. Calendar is a big scab picking wound right now for us at the greenhouse, because we're trying to get really, really good at communication on calendars, and there's so many calendars
Across multiple apps.
God,
And then
it's
Jennifer's
just
like,
like-
anybody want a death plotter calendar? I'm like, only if it hooks to my iPhone. Anyways.
or is stapled to the back of my head. Fuck off. Not pleasant. So regardless, I have literally had to actively do this. But if I look at my calendar and there's no yellow, which is self-care, whether that's getting my hair done, going to do a float, going to my nature path, taking time to go to a movie with my friends, whatever it is, if there is no yellow in the week, I am not doing anything for me.
So in retrospect for 2022, how do you think you did with your goals that you had set out for yourself earlier in the year?
Hugely successful, because I started the year not knowing where I was going to land in the ownership cycle. And now I'm CEO. Check, check. I started the year. That's a humongous goal, because that was never the plan. The plan was always different than that. And I don't think we need to go into the plan, but the plan was always different. And the fact that I was able to set myself up in the way that I felt based on what I had learned through following your example, following my dad's example, my mother's example, and what I thought was right, I set myself up to be the best option.
So how do you gauge that success going in for 2023 based on the success that you had in 2022? Or is that even part of your radar for 2023?
So it's changed. So my goal for the company and for my success gauge in the company is to build our team and become an employee-centric company, and really work on being able to make it so that people enjoy coming to work 4.5 out of 5 days of the week. Not 3, not 4, it's not realistic to say 5, but if I can make it so that PJ likes coming to his job, and I know exactly which weeks to pick on because I know when his peak is, if he likes coming to work 4.5 out of 5 days of that week, I've done my job. Check, check.
Well, that's excellent.
Solid goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
PJ, do you think you had a successful year based on your goals going into this year?
I would say yes. Interesting, though, as you're talking, I'm sitting here thinking, I think part of the hiccup, everybody waits till the end of the year to do this. And what I heard from you in the beginning of this segment was, you do it weekly or monthly
Yeah.
when you're looking at your account. Guess what?
Constantly.
I don't think it works if you look at it once a year. I
Nope.
truly don't.
It doesn't.
Or you're certainly not going to get a unit of measure that
It's a
you care about.
10,000-foot view. That's all it is.
Right.
Yeah.
It would have to be.
Ground level
Yep.
versus
Yep.
above the tree.
Right. So that was my first
Yeah.
thing is, okay, Jennifer's doing this on a regular basis. I also feel like you are either using your electronics
They're a tool.
more better. Let me just
There's a tool.
Let me make some words up right
Yeah,
quick because
exactly.
it's a podcast.
There's a tool.
But you're using things more powerful. So my focus, or I would think, is what about those of us people that aren't tracking our hours and aren't color coding our whole calendar to know what percentage of our life we gave away this week? I'm just wondering I feel like it's the same situation. You just can't wait till the end of the year. You really have to self-assess on a more regular basis. So at the end of the year, you have good data to make some decisions.
Well, I had a bad year of looking back and going, oh shit, I did a crappy job of this.
Right.
So I had to make a concentrated effort of how am I going to be able to do this successfully in the future? Well, I need to do the work every week. I need to schedule it. I need to set the reminders. I need to allocate that time. Do I always get it right? No. I'll set like a total intention of every Sunday I'm going to spend 10 to noon. I'm going to do meal planning and set my week up. Do you think I actually do that?
Once in a while, maybe.
Yeah. No.
The first time you wrote it in your calendar.
I started to delete the things I wasn't doing when I stopped doing them.
Oh, stop making me feel bad about not doing them.
It took me about 4 weeks to get that done. So if I know that, I'm like, okay, well, I can back calculate 4 weeks and then it'll work out just fine.
So I think that's a good planning part is taking out the things that you could write down whatever you want, really.
Well, you want to know the most interesting part of this exercise? You see what you wasted your time on.
There you go.
That is the most valuable part of it for me. Like, first thing, did I meet my goals? Did I spend my time effectively? But the second is, what did I put time to that didn't move me forward? And is that a smart allocation of my time?
You got to go. I look at it for the easy tasks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And say, okay, build your base on the easy tasks that you know that you can relatively get done. I think you have to have something that's easy. All right. So if I was to say, I'm going to get up at 5:30 every morning, probably not going to be realistic because after the first week, I've tried it. Well, I can sleep in until 6. I can sleep in until 6:15. So it doesn't do any good to put something down that I know realistically I can't achieve, unless there's that drive, and there's no drive for me to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't go exercise. I don't go make a breakfast. I don't.
Do you earn up at 5 a.m.?
Well, there's two
like I was this morning?
There's two trains of thought to this, right? So you got the Elon Musk, who's my boy crush, in case we haven't had this.
Yes.
I want to have his babies.
He always talked about Elon Musk.
Elon's the goddamn man. I'm just telling you. Before
I have learned more about Elon Musk from PJ than I have anything else.
Elon's a man. So, but his idea of goal, because we were talking about this a little bit before the podcast. One of the things with goal setting, you have to be specific. Jennifer didn't say, I want to take better care of myself this year.
No,
that's not what she said.
I didn't.
She said, if I don't have enough self-care in my week, I have to make changes.
Right.
That's specific. I am looking for yellow self-care in my calendar.
I broke it down from mental care, spiritual care, physical care, and physical was broken down for physical health and then physical activity health.
Brilliant. So specifically, you're touching all of the aspects of your life that you're wanting to touch.
Yeah, I had to heal a trauma. I had to work on getting my head right, which was spiritual, emotional health. And then I've got autoimmune disease and I'm out of shape.
The point to all that, very specific, right? Anybody who's ever done any study on the goals, right? You can't just say, I want to lose weight. No, that doesn't work. Right. I want to lose 10 pounds in the next 30 days. That's a specific goal. That's something you can hit.
And then how are you going to do it?
But one specific detail leads to the next specific, right?
Correct.
If the original goal is, I want to lose 10 pounds in 30 days. Okay. Let's break that down by week. I got to lose 2.5 pounds. Like you just
and
one
then
step
I would
by
challenge
step.
you to reverse engineer that. To lose 10 pounds in 30 days, what has to be true?
And then
so I'm just flipping
No.
look at it, because that's the best way to look at the end of the year. Like what had to be true for me to get here, or what has to be true for me to get to my next goal. So you reverse it, because a lot of people get hung up on the details.
Well, this is what I was getting to the Elon Musk. Yeah. So I am of the idea that you got to set a specific reachable goal.
Right.
In other words, you just said is I could put the goal for 5:30. That's not really feasible, right? So perhaps your goal should have been, I'm going to be up by 6. Right. I'm just saying, Elon Musk has the complete opposite.
He has
He said, if you set a goal that you can hit, you are nowhere near setting strong enough goals for yourself. So that's why he gets banged a lot in the media, because he'll go, we're going to do 500,000 cars. And they're like, you've only done 20. So I think you're smoking a little something heavy, right?
And not sharing.
Right. But his whole purpose is, if we set a goal that you reached, we are nowhere near setting a high enough goal for you.
Oh, yeah.
So interesting, different attitude.
And I'm saying that I think in your goal setting, you've got to have an achievable goal that you can see right there. Okay, I know with a little bit of effort, I can hit this, and that's going to be a success. Now, some of these longer term goals, how do you deal with, okay, the 10 pounds, 15 pounds, and after 3 weeks, you've only lost 2. It's that psyche again that you got to look at and say, all right, where do I need to readjust? Or do I need to readjust the goal to make it fit better, rather than saying, I'm going to lose 10 pounds and I'm going to do it by dieting and exercising?
Oh, see, and I fit in the middle. I don't think a goal excites you unless it scares you. And so in that plays to Elon Musk a little bit. So I have something that scares the living shit out of me. I want to do a triathlon. I don't know if I want it to be a sprint distance, Olympic distance, or if I want to do an Ironman.
You've talked about that for a few years.
I know. It scares the living shit out of me. It scares me. But it won't leave my mind. So
got to do something about it. Then.
Eventually but I mean, it's one of those things that scares you. I mean, I was talking to a friend actually and we have our producers going through a similar thing, starting your own business. That's terrifying. So scary. And that entrepreneur journey, like taking that leap of faith and doing that, like it can scare the living piss out of you. And once you start taking one step and then the other, like momentum begets momentum, and you start making the steps. And again, it might be a case of reverse engineering. Okay, I want to run a successful massage business and be able to provide for my family and have free time. Okay, what has to be true for me to do that? And here are the things I have in front of me. And that was a scenario I helped a friend through. And now she's starting her own thing. Literally tomorrow it goes live. And it was an opportunity that fell in her lap, and it was terrifying for her. And then that's one of those things. It's scary. But you want to know the thing about fear and being scared is it keeps you very alert.
Well, nobody learns anything from comfort.
That's right.
So
That's
no one ever
but the biggest
improved or got things better by being comfortable.
The biggest thing that you've got to overcome is that fear of failure. So if you don't go out and
failure is your best teacher.
It is your best teacher, but there's a lot of us that just, I'm not going to deal with that because
I'm afraid I'll look.
Exactly.
I'm scared of what other people think.
Well, it's the people don't realize that Babe Ruth was also the strikeout king, right?
Exactly.
He hit the most home runs. He also had the most strikeout.
That's right.
No one writes that, right? No headlines are Babe Ruth strikeout king, but let's look at that, right?
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, another guy, he missed more game-winning shots at the end than any other person in history. But he also won more too. And he goes,
exactly.
Whose hand do you want it to be in?
Statistically, that's how you have to try and try and try. I mean, got Elon Musk, how many things has he failed at?
Right. I don't know.
And then how many things has he succeeded at? The succeed column is a lot less than the fail column, but he wouldn't have succeeded had he not tried after failure after failure. Like, how many times did what's his bucket with the light bulb, Thomas Edison?
Although he didn't invent it, he's just. But we'll talk about that
on a different podcast. That's a different podcast.
That's all true.
But how many times?
You have to have
it could
that drive.
Thousands of times.
Well, you have to have that drive and ambition. And if you look back over history, right? Abraham Lincoln, he lost everything before he finally won, but he kept trying.
Well, and I think especially, and I say Americans in general, but we feel like if we don't hit that giant global target, it's a fail. Yeah. Wait a minute, hold on. If you hit 30 out of the 50 steps leading up to that, did you fail or did you whoop ass on the 30 things that it took? Yes, you were 20 steps short of that giant target. But if the 30 steps that you took advanced you and moved you forward, you're winning.
Well, and how much do you learn from a failure versus a success?
Much more.
So much more.
Much more.
So every time you fail, you actually just gravitated yourself closer, although you don't realize because you just improved your toolkit, your educational base. And so it goes back to, do you need a resolution? I would challenge you, don't do a resolution for the next year. What I would challenge is 2 different things. So I've done both. you can create a list of, I'm going to do less of this and more of this. I'm going to be doing less stressing and spending my time with people who aren't moving me forward. And I'm going to do more stuff that services my goals, or I'm going to do more self-care. Or I'm going to do one thing that's self-care week. Or I have also done like, I'm going to call it a bucket list, but like things I want to do this year. I want to learn how to smoke meat on my new smoker. I'm going to climb one mountain this summer or go hiking 2 times this summer. I'm going, and whatever that is, and create a list of things. These are just things I want to do this year. And then you look at it every couple of weeks. I put it by my bed and I would mark them off as I did it. Like, oh, cool. I learned how to smoke fish on my smoker. Like they're silly little tiny things, but they're things I wanted to do.
I learned many years ago that if you don't put your goals somewhere where you
have
can
to see
physically see them,
you have to see them,
you're
write
not
them down,
ever hit them. So that's
like as I'm pushing my dad out of my office, out of our office, I put this big board on the wall and I started writing things on it. And he's just like, God, you're moving in. I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm moving in. But then we were, setting him up for the space that we're moving him into. And I was like, I remember when you used to have the big Post-it pages and he literally would have goals written out. And I said, that I'm just the same. I just put a more permanent solution. You have to see them.
You not only see them, and I think one of the easiest ways to grenade or derail what you're doing is beating yourself up for missing a goal, right?
Yeah.
One of the things they talk about
in
weight loss, right, is you're on a diet, but when it's time to eat that cake, the calories are in your brain. Oh my God, this is gonna make my ass big. Oh, right. What the point being is,
and now my pants don't fit.
When it's time to eat that cake, enjoy every bite of that
and
cake.
Savor it. Don't beat yourself up because if you beat yourself up, you'll eat 3 more pieces.
Yep. And it goes
and
for
if
these
you
goals.
just savor the one,
beat yourself for missing it. Right. You focus on what you can make positive. Focus on the moving forward. Do not beat yourself up for the mistake or the miss or the mistake.
It's
That's
wasted
where you
energy.
get derailed.
Right. It's wasted
energy, and it literally will take you off of whatever you're at and drag you back down 3 steps because you are now wrapped up in the stress and I didn't do it. I didn't. Yeah. Bullshit. Eat the cake, enjoy every bit of it, and then go do your sit-ups. Literally, that's what it is.
And drink 2 more glasses of water and it'll help.
Exactly right. Yep. No stress over that decision or that missed target.
Oh, mine was, I'm trying to cut sugar out. It's one of those things. So if you tell me I can't have sugar, I'm going to go find the candy in my children's room late at night and I'm going to eat it all while they're gone. That's what's going to happen. It's guaranteed. And then my kids are like, Jennifer, did you eat my shit? And I'm like, they don't say it that way, but that's basically what's happening.
Really? Yeah.
And then I'm
That's
guilty.
what they mean,
and then we're literally between my husband and I was like, nope, it's your dad. Nope, it was Jennifer. Like it's this go between. Or I can say, hey, I'm going to have grapes in the fridge for when I want that sugar at the end of the night. Or apples and peanut butter. Because I know that's at least healthy. It fits the need. It fills me up. It's fiber. And now I don't feel guilty. So I built in something that still accomplishes my need, but doesn't make me feel guilty.
Which is so
and
big.
It helps my stomach because I got stomach issues. So problem solved. But it's one of those little things that like I had to look at it and say, okay, this isn't going to go away. So how can I adjust it so that it's not a problem and I don't feel bad and I don't beat myself up?
And that's understanding your body and what it can take.
Absolutely.
And this is the same thing with your goals, understanding what you can and can't do physically or mentally.
Well, and bowing out of cooking things for holiday parties. Like, you know what? I just signed up for a dessert for a Rotary Christmas party. You know what I'm going to probably do?
Buy it.
Call somebody else to make it.
There you go.
Write a check.
Well, you said
fine.
Don't beat yourself up. The whole point to this is keep it moving forward. Keep it positive. Keep yourself in that zone where you are moving forward. And the easiest way to get out of that is to beat yourself up.
Absolutely.
For a missed target, for an off. Who cares?
Unrealistic expectations.
And I'm going back to the old podcast, but perfection, right? Nothing is perfect ever.
It's not.
Ever.
Well, and nobody cares if I brought a cheesecake I made or a cheesecake somebody else made. If it's store-bought, they might give me some shit.
They remember how it tastes.
Well,
that's it.
One of the things I always think about for goal, right, is flying a plane, right? You take off from Los Angeles and you're flying to New York. That's easy set, right? That plane has to make changes to the direction of its flight 1,000 times in that flight. They don't just say, it's not a straight line between Los Angeles and New York, right? That plane has to change direction 50 times to make that. So it would be impossible for us to think that you're going to set a goal.
Yeah.
And you, at the day you set that goal, are going to draw a straight line between the here and there.
Also,
it's never going to happen.
What's the hardest part about that flight? Takeoff and landing.
The beginning and the end.
Yeah.
And a lot of people forget that. Like the hardest thing that you do in any goal setting is the start and the finish. But the middle is always messy, which is where you're talking about 50 different deviations on the flight plan.
Right. But my point, if you beat yourself up every time you made a course correction, you'd crash the plane somewhere in Iowa, is my point, right? Right.
You'd be visiting my guru
You
over
got to
there.
stay focused. Right.
Hey, Cresco, how we doing? Sorry, picking on her.
So do you think that when you're making these goals, that you need a partner in crime, if you will, to help keep you on
accountability?
task? Or is it more of a nuisance? Hey, you ate that and you weren't supposed to type thing. Because for me, I think it's more of, I've got to do this on my own. I mean, I'll be happy to involve some people, but I don't need a goal police. Oh, you did something you weren't supposed to do.
Well, I would probably ask that differently.
It's a personality thing.
Well, I think that each person needs different things. So I do think it is a personality thing. So like you being a C, we can pick on our disc all day, versus PJ and I being Ds, we're going to be hard on ourselves and you're going to be hard on yourself, but they're all different kinds of hard. So I'm better at staying motivated if I can celebrate the wins. And I've changed my verbiage. So if there's an obstacle or a challenge, I call it an opportunity. So it's a mindset thing.
Right.
As we were talking about before we went on air here. I have the mindset of growth. I have a growth mindset. I'm always challenging myself. I love being uncomfortable because I know I'm going to produce when I'm uncomfortable. So I purposely make myself uncomfortable. Now, if you're always uncomfortable, how can you ever relax, right? Because that's a stress thing. So I make active time at the end of my day to just chill so that I get comfort without making things hard, right? But I make myself super uncomfortable. On Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, I wake up 4:30 in the morning. Tuesdays, Thursdays, I wake up 5 in the morning because that sets my day up for success. Now,
I think you're picking on me 5. I wake up at 5.
4:30 in the morning. Oh, 4:30 is so much harder than 5. Let me just tell you that. That half hour, it's just like...
When you don't go to bed until midnight or 1. It's
No, I literally have an alarm that goes off at 6:45 that says, get your shit together. And I have an alarm that goes off at 8:30, and this is PM, that says, go plug me in, talking about the phone that's going off, and put your clothes out for your workout in the bathroom. Like I have alarms to keep me on task because I'm not going to succeed with my morning if I don't succeed with my night. Right. So I have that built in, but I have taken all the stress out of it. I've literally set alarms. I've created habits. That goes back to James Clear with Atomic Habits. You have to build it into an existing habit. So as far as accountability, what I do is I do have a coach, and her and I, every other week, we talk about what were your wins. And then what are your opportunities for growth? And so that's how I do it. Now, I know other folks that have accountability partners that, hey, did you eat your stuff the right way? Did you have enough water? Like I set goals like I wanted to drink 100 ounces of water per day for the month of December. Planning on January, I'm going to 128 ounces of water. Sometimes I get 70 ounces. Sometimes I get 104.
Great goal, though.
But it at least gave me a parameter. And so as long as I'm tracking every day and doing the best I can, my intention's there. And if you start with an intention, then you follow with action. So my action is tracking. My intention is hitting 100. I don't get it right every time, but I try.
But you said most of us all have a smartphone in our pocket now. Right. And the electronics now help much. Like even if you don't have a smartphone, your email program will have a calendar.
Right.
So so back in the day, you needed a buddy. Why? One of you is going to remember at 6 a.m. to call another. Hey, asshole, get up. We got to go work out. Right. Now your phone is that asshole. Yes. Right. It's honking at you at 6:15. Right. Or whatever it is. So another great little hack for this exact purpose. Use the electronics. It's there for your purpose.
I always set reminders while I'm driving. Hey, Google. Set a reminder for. She's probably going to come up here in a second. Maybe not. Oh, I didn't say it enough. I'm speaking into the microphone, not the right one. So I have reminders that come up at 11 and 3. It reminds me to drink 24 ounces of water. Tonight is trash night, so that the garbage will come tomorrow. I set a reminder so that the garbage actually makes it to the alley. Yeah. Like I have to do that. My brain has only so much time.
Going on.
Well,
too much going on.
That was part of Franklin, but it's not that your brain is your brain. If it's not using it for these stupid minutia, your brain is open and available for big shit, right? If you're not worried about when am I taking the stupid trash cans out, your mind is now open and available for this other shit.
Yes, so I have facilitated
it's a crutch
opening that.
Right, it's a crutch that helps you more time on the important shit.
That is why it looks like a rainbow flag threw up on my calendar because I have reminders different colors, but it helps me.
Right.
And I think maybe a future show too, since you're talking about these mind games, because it's really what it is as far as trying to set alarms and all that. A future podcast.
It's hacking the software.
What makes your mind think about work when I'm trying to sleep?
Oh God.
Or in the shower?
Oh, you don't have my. I have ways to get around that. So you keep a notebook by the bed. Every time a thought comes up, write it down. You can go back to sleep.
Get it out of your
Read
brain.
smut novels that have nothing to do with the day life outside with fantasy characters that has nothing to do with real life. Like people recommend books and they're like, it happened back in the 50s and there's these sisters. And I was like, nope, not reading it.
Too close to real life.
Too close to real life. Right. It can happen in any way, shape, or form in my day job in any way. I don't want to read it. If it's got demons and fairies and I'm in. That sounds great.
Because you're not seeing those at work?
No.
Okay, good.
Often. Well,
I was worried about you for a second.
There are an occasional, Easter where I have Tinkerbell in retail or something.
Yep.
This
Penguin or a bunny
exactly.
or something.
It's your son. Different conversation. But it's truly, I've built in behaviors so that I don't do that. And if something is on my mind, I will write it out before I even head to bed. So it's on paper so that it doesn't circle back into my psyche. Now, does that mean I don't dream about it? That's a different conversation, but I'm working on that.
Like I said, a future podcast. I'd like to get into that with you. So
no, I would because I have gotten it so I don't dream about work anymore.
Yeah, I'm coming to that podcast or listening to it when it
You
comes.
guys could be on it.
I don't know.
You be
Go
on
to
it.
bed, sleeping about it, wake up, sleeping about it. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
It really is.
No, it is because you wake up tired because you worked all night and you're like,
off.
What
not
the
just tired,
hell?
but mad. I'm not punched in. Why am I working?
I didn't get paid for this.
Jesus criminal.
For those that are watching or listening, let us know. Is that something you want to hear about?
Because,
so that's
or if you have the answer, maybe you're on the next podcast.
Join. I am test driving co-host. So with that, we decide what's going to set you up for your goals for the next year. It doesn't have to be a resolution. It could be, I'm just going to do less of this and more of this. I'm going to color code my calendar so it looks like an LGBT flag threw up on my phone. Whatever that is for you, there's so many different things that you can do. But with that, we will wrap up. But kind of the take-home message is, what are your goals and how are you going to get there? And what do you need to do that? It doesn't have to be a resolution.
Right. And
if it's going to be a resolution, make sure it's SMART. So that's specific, measurable, obtainable, relatable, and timely. Yeah, I think it is timely. And then, you could do a less of this. I'm going to do more of this. It could be a bucket list, or it could be a big, terrifying Elon Musk, unachievable, scary goal. Like Jennifer's going to do an Ironman. Not. Maybe could happen in another life. Which might be just in my 40s, which feels like another life. But that's what we want to challenge you. You do not have to do it the way it's always been done. I'm a big proponent of just because we've always done it that way doesn't mean that's how we have to continue doing it. So I challenge you to think outside of that. And with that, we invite you to go live life in full color, like my calendar, because plain's pretty boring. With that, guys, have a happy new year.